it is too late, do you finally see the light?
Citizens of the United States of America do not have the resources and support, but you're going to bring people who are not citizens here in our community, in our buildings that we pay taxes for, that you took away from us. Yeah. That is completely unacceptable. We are in a humanitarian crisis right now. The black people in Chicago are bleeding on the streets.
Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson had this to say about the migrant crisis.
We have a responsibility to make sure that families who are seeking love and support here in the city of Chicago and throughout the state of Illinois, that they are not just
This topic or this incident or this little spat that's going on in the city of Chicago, it came to my attention on Friday. But of course, I was already bogged down, and of course, my brain kind of got overracked, and therefore I was not able to cover it. But then again, I kind of told myself, maybe you might want to give this a couple more days and let it fully metastasize before you decide to talk about this. Now, guys, there are previous videos where I talked about the possibility of an outgoing mayor, Lori Lightfoot, possibly wanting federal assistance in the city of Chicago. And then, of course, you have the mayoral election where I stupidly claimed that Lori Lightfoot was gone, or that the vote was gone in Chicago, or it may be gone in Chicago because, yeah, I was under the impression that the new person, the guy that lost by 3 points, he was going to win. But then Brandon Johnson won by, said, 3 points. And don't worry, I'll explain that a little bit more towards the end of the video. But you got to ask yourself a question. Didn't these people vote for this nonsense? You know what? Before we talk any further, let's go ahead and take a look at a little bit more and talk about the situation on the other side. Just take a few minutes here.
Chicago already has a humanitarian crisis.
That's right. Yes.
We
Yes.
don't have enough resources to support our people here.
That's right.
My mother has to look out the window to see where my brother was shot at because CHA does not want to move her. Okay? So my whole thing is, if we don't have resources to support us here already, why the hell would you all bring people here for one who don't like black people? That's so bad.
Yes. 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 Yes.
You all are sitting up here, and this is just to let you all know. This meeting here is a formality. They have to do this. They're going to do what they want to do anyway.
Well, we got to do what we got to do. We got to go to jail. Don't let the bitches in.
Audience here, we have to bear responsibility to what's going on now. Because for too long, the black community has been voting for the wrong people for too damn long.
No, that's right. Yes. That's right. Get Michelle ass out.
Because we're too busy voting for name recognition and because they're black.
That's right. Get me.
Has not said if there are plans to open what they call a respite center in the former shuttered South Shore High School have been finalized, but people who live in that neighborhood made it very clear how they feel.
For city leaders who came looking for a conversation over opening the doors of a shuttered South Shore High School to migrants.
What's important is that we really establish that this is a humanitarian crisis, and we're here.
South Shore residents responded with resounding rejection.
While this crisis may constitute an emergency for the city of Chicago, it does not constitute an emergency for the South Shore community.
Incoming migrants have overwhelmed district police stations by the hundreds.
It's my turn. It's my turn. Hello.
But city leaders could barely eke out a word of the details about a proposed respite center at the former South Shore High School.
When it comes to the total number of people at South Shore at any given point in time, it is fluid. We'd start with 250, 500.
How could you do that without consulting us?
I am concerned with safety in the area.
The Chicago Police Department will put 24/7 officers at that location.
Those are exactly the kind of services Southside residents say they've begged for and been denied.
Every homeless immigrant that you bring in, that you scoop up one of the homeless individuals in our community, I think that would be fair.
At the vacant Wadsworth Elementary School campus.
I'm especially concerned about loitering as well as solicitation that may occur on the campus grounds.
Chicago police joined leaders of the Department of Family and Support Services to provide details facility, the 11 p.m. curfew, the 24/7 security, the no drugs or alcohol policy, and the process for residents to provide input. But for most here, it was too little, too late.
They didn't even tell us, the residents. They did not tell us anything until the last minute.
We will work to make sure that we communicate clearly with our plans going forward.
A recurring theme, what about the area's existing homeless?
This is beautiful. To go in and get a shelter for people, to help these individuals coming over here. What about the people who have been here for the last 20 years?
The work that we're doing for new arrivals is not detracting from...
I'm pretty sure by now that most of you know that Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been sending a lot of the illegals. He's been sending them over to Chicago and to a lot of these blue areas like New York because they're sanctuary cities. Now, really quick, sanctuary cities are unsustainable for many reasons, and I'll explain it here in a second. But you got to ask yourself a question. Did you or did you not vote for this? You see, when I look at the mayoral elections of Chicago, only 3 points different separating Johnson and the other guy, Vallis, it makes me think that maybe close to half the city, said, look, we don't want the woke back in here. We don't want the wokes in charge anymore. We don't want somebody who runs on defund the police, who puts up tweets like this here that say stuff like, everybody can have a seat at the table, everybody can eat at the table, when it's pretty obvious that Chicago is about to go through, a high amount of race wars. I'm pretty sure that that is pretty much what you're about to see here, especially given the fact that certain schools and certain facilities that were promised to certain neighborhoods are about to be filled with the illegals coming in. Now, guys, I've talked about this before, and I can already hear somebody saying xenophobic, racist, this, that. No. I'm actually speaking on behalf of one community. I'm actually speaking on behalf of both communities when you think about it, because if you're from the South, then you will know that part of what was said there was actually true. Typically, African-American neighborhoods and Hispanic neighborhoods do not get along, especially if Hispanic neighborhoods are coming over. They don't really know English, they don't really know the language or the lingo right away, not to mention the fact that, Tucker Carlson got in trouble for this, and I even did a couple of videos on this, that, you are being replaced. They're trying to replace you with the incoming people coming across the border that Biden is allowing in, and not to mention Title 42 is about to expire. So, the situation is about to become a great big giant mess, and guess what? You voted for it. All the people, by the way, that you saw right there, every single one of them, I'm pretty sure voted for Joe Biden. If you actually look at the metrics of urban versus non-urban voters, you, especially amongst the black community, you will see that they, for the most part, voted for Joe Biden. So, therefore, they kind of did this to themselves. Maybe they did this because Kamala Harris was the VP. Maybe they did this out of tribalism. Don't get me started on that. I do not want to get in trouble here on this platform. But here is the thing that you have to understand. When you do this tribal politics and you think about tribes and you think about race and you don't think about results, and you don't think about the situation around you, this type of stuff right here could eventually happen. This is one of the reasons why it is that I think that what really happened in the mayoral race was that Brandon Johnson had a much, much higher black turnout because, they were all obviously being much, much more tribal. And the police departments, which, by the way, some of these police are going to be guarding these areas 24/7, which, by the way, hunkers down an entire section of the police department, meaning that the crime itself could get a lot worse. Now, am I saying that the incoming illegals are going to start something? No, that's not going to happen at all. If anything, what's probably going to happen is that the people who are already living in these neighborhoods are probably going to respond to the people coming in, respond to the certain city anonymity or whatever you might want to say. I know my language is sometimes a little bit off. Sometimes I even say the word accurate rather than accurate every now and again. But as you guys can see, obviously certain things are going to be left off limits to others. And who do you have to blame for this? Right? You have to blame yourself, because yourself is the one who created this by continuing to vote these people in. Maybe if you had an ordinance in place that would get rid of the whole sanctuary status, maybe if you had not decided to vote for the old kook that's in office right now instead of the guy who was actually protecting your jobs, because you fell for the whole line of he's a white supremacist, he's a racist, all that type of stuff there, then you might not be in this situation. Now, is it going to get worse? I'm going to go ahead and say yes, because, and I don't mean to say this to be negative or anything, I'm being 100% realistic with you, and yes, I do know there has been an awakening in that community because they are voting Republican at a higher clip. However, when you actually look at the demographics of the vote, you're seeing that it's more in small town areas, which, by the way, was kind of to be expected. Even in some urban areas too, but not the rate you might would think. Look, let me go ahead and throw this out here, okay? I I want you to think long and hard about this. We've been telling people of color for a long time that Democrats were actually racist and they were trying to reinstitute Jim Crow. All you got to do is take a look at the vaccine mandates that a lot of these big city mayors tried to put in place because, as you know, black people were obviously less acceptable to taking the vaccine, and they were also at the same time telling people you cannot go eat at this place or eat that place. That was actually Jim Crow. They found a way to reinstitute it. And then now you bring in a bunch of illegals and you use those illegals, or you allow those illegals to cut off certain services in your city, certain things that you may want, certain things that you may be used to getting. As you can see, you've obviously been found to be expendable and exiled, and the process of replacement is occurring. All right, we're not allowed to talk about this on this platform, but I'm putting my ass on the line by simply mentioning it, so that way you might could see that this is actually what's going on here. You are being replaced. You are expendable. You are no longer viewed as necessary for the Democratic Party. And so when I hear somebody say we're just not going to vote anymore, or we're not going to vote based upon our skin tone, yeah, it makes me kind of think it might be a little bit too late, because guess what's going to happen next? Crime is going to go through its roof. And let me go ahead and close this video out on one of those videos that I have decided to go ahead and showcase in this video, putting them in the corner. I did explain that the Democratic National Convention in 2024 is going to be in that city. They're probably going to run on a very woke platform. And even though Joe Biden is running for re-election, I would not be surprised if they don't find a way to pull the rug out from under him and put Kamala Harris up there. Well, then you got someone who's half Jamaican and half Indian, and all of a sudden the media has told you that Kamala Harris is black, when in reality during her inauguration they told you she was actually Hindu, or they told you that she was actually Indian. They're going to kind of, play the whole tribal card again. So no, I don't expect things to get any better in that city anytime soon. Guys, John Claymore here. This was the third video of the day. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, share the video, sign up in the comment section. I would love to get you guys' thoughts, and I'll see you guys later.